I want to play a new game.
Before we get started, I'm gonna talk to y'all about today's sponsor, Fist of the North Star Legends Revive. Look, Fist of the North Star is super rad, I don't have to tell you that. However, what if I told you that you can now play it in a video game on your phone? Cause you can do that. It's pretty fun too. Fist of the North Star Legends Revive is a turn-based RPG that follows the original Fist of the North Star narrative all the way from episode 1, with a lot of famous scenes revived with dope CG or comic panel strips. With Legends Revive, you can create your own Fist dream team. You can put Kenshiro and Shin together if you want, for some reason. That's right, finally. Collectible big muscle dudes you can explode heads with. With the timing-based gameplay, you can put together devastating combos by tapping at the right time. That's right, even Bat can kick butt. So if you want to study Hokuto Shinken and save the wasteland, check the link in the description to get started playing today. Thanks for watching.
I want to play a new game. How dare.
2019 has become the year of remakes and remasters. Beyond high-profile releases, namely Resident Evil 2, Medieval, Crash Team Racing, we've got obscure ports and re-releases with everything. Whoever asked for a port of that Ghostbusters game deserves a medal. Good job, you. So when Nintendo, the king of remakes, decided it was gonna do another one, you typically wouldn't even be surprised. They've been doing it since the Super Nintendo with Mario All-Stars, and have not been shy about it. However, when it comes to the Zelda franchise, they've only tried their hands at remaking the 3D ones. Whether or not that's a statement on the quality of the N64 games, I'm not sure, but with the new release of Link's Awakening on the Switch, they finally dipped into remaking 2D Zeldas. I mean, unless you count DX, which I don't. There was a period of time when The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening was my favorite game. Little kid gets a Game Boy and is suddenly given this crazy action RPG filled to the brim with adventure. Only if you squint real hard. But Link's Awakening stuck with me for a long time. The melodic bleeps and bloops blasting from the Game Boy's mono speaker resonated in my brain for decades, and I played through this thing so many times I can do it nearly by memory. Listen, I'm just trying to say I kinda like the original. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is unusual. It has this very whimsical feel and world surrounding what is otherwise a very typical Zelda game. At the time, in 1993, the franchise only had 3 games, a couple toys, and a memorable cartoon behind it with a pair of highly anticipated titles around the corner.
You can make me do the duck walk!
A Link to the Past became notorious for being real freaking good, so anything coming after that would be hyped. So why not lower the expectations a bit by throwing it on the portable? Except they didn't even need to do that, because Link's Awakening stands its ground and holds its head up with the best. This is the first time a game I've held near and dear to me in that little nostalgia sector has gotten a full-on remake, so my expectations were really high, but also super low because those trailers had no frames.
So here we are a couple months later with the game in hand. Does Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening live up to not just the original, but modern gaming standards? Is it a good place for new fans of the series to start? But most importantly, is Austin about to talk about a Zelda game in earnest for the first time on this channel? Let's find out.
This is cozy. Link's Awakening begins with Link trying to keep a ship afloat in the middle of a nasty storm. Originally with big ol' sprites, but now beautifully shown with a sketchy animation style. Obviously, he fails at that and is found on a beach where he's rescued by Marin, a young girl. But also, everyone kinda looks like a Playmobil dude, except 10% cuter and less I'm gonna cancel your life. Then you wake up, grab your shield, and where do you go? Well, I mean, I know, but if you haven't played this before, you're probably gonna have a tough time. Link's Awakening is one of those old school video games where you gotta use your brain and stuff. Make sure you talk to all the villagers, pay close attention to clues from the mysterious owl, pay close attention to clues from the mysterious owl statues, and if you get stuck, you can hop into a telephone booth and contact Old Man Ulrira for a hint. How he knows exactly who's calling, where from, and what for is beyond me, but that's fine. Also, I love him, he's very cute. But most importantly, you're gonna need a little bit of luck, because some of this stuff isn't the most intuitive. You can definitely tell that this game's from 1993, which is totally a good and bad thing. A lot of remakes in this day and age try to stick on a lot of modern quality of life conveniences. Toss in that GPS and assist mode, maybe even a few new items, and well, Link's Awakening does the bare minimum in that regard. They tried to keep it really close. New to the remake are fairy bottles, which you can use to do the classic Zelda thing and bottle up a fairy to save her from heels levels later. You've also got Breath of the Wild inspired markers for your map, which I never used once because why would I need this? You can already teleport. The biggest change comes in the controls. Look, the Game Boy here, it's got like 4 buttons. There's not much you can do with that. See, the Switch Pro controller here, now that you can do a lot with. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So many buttons!
Like any Zelda game, Awakening has a lot of unlockable items you'll find on your quest. Things like shovels, bow and arrows, bombs, magic dust, or my personal favorite, Rock's Feather. This little thing allows Link to jump on command. See, this is obviously the best Zelda game because you can jump in it. It's like I always say, games are only good if you can jump. Anyways, with the Switch comes a ton of buttons, leaving room for like your sword, shield, and running boots to be equipped all the time. However, with the Game Boy original, it's like you gotta pause and equip that stuff manually if you want to swing your sword. 1993. I guess also a difference, like the graphics. Obviously, it's real pretty. Yeah, not necessarily like pushing the boundaries of anything graphically, not even by a long shot, but the style is unmistakably Nintendo and will stand the test of time. In the past few years, Nintendo's been playing with the concept of materials in their games. Yoshi and Kirby both delved into the yarn and wool stuff. Mario's been on that paper for years, so it was Link's turn to try something. I'm not sure if it was noticeable from the trailers due to certain areas not being shown, but Link's Awakening felt like a diorama. Every object in the game has a strange plasticky texture to it, as even the trees and flowers have a smooth shine to them. Dungeons also feel that way, expanding the diorama feeling with the 2D segments and certain surfaces looking like tempered clay. It seems like Nintendo's experimenting with the lighting in this area too, cause what the heck? What are y'all doing? For real, this game doesn't need advanced lighting. But even with a plastic look, the characters and environments hold more character than ever. Certain NPCs who look like the Game Boy sprites back in the day have so much more personality. The aforementioned Elryra is shy and can't speak to Link in person, and he looks like a cute, nervous old man who just wants to help you out, and you could tell he's shy. Look at him. Back in the day, I just thought he was Santa Claus. I mean, like still kind of that. Sure, Link's Awakening has some weird graphical choices, like a lack of shadows on obvious objects when you put full lighting into other stuff, and maybe the dungeon environments get a little repetitive, but at least the game holds its frame rate together and doesn't at all noticeably drop extremely low all the time.
Okay, look, I finally said the thing. I like the way this game looks. I obviously enjoy the way it plays a whole lot. But what's with this and all the other Switch exclusives this year and like terrible frame rate? What's going on?
I'm a bit confused as to how this game runs at 60 pretty consistently when this one struggles as much as it does. And you know, I'd like to think I'm a pretty forgiving guy, but the further you get into Link's Awakening, especially in the 8th dungeon, things just drop sub 20 at times, and it's not only noticeable, but distracting. However, I think I like the base game here enough to shrug it off. There's the potential Nintendo might pump out a patch to help the performance. I mean, it's doubtful considering Super Mario Party was practically abandoned, but a man can dream. While we're at it, let's talk about the music. The Link's Awakening soundtrack on the Game Boy is kind of perfect. In a rare circumstance, the original was not composed by series veteran Koji Kondo, but instead a trio of fantastic composers: Minako Hamano, Kozue Ishikawa, and Kazumi Totaka. You know the one. And they kind of like destroyed it. Now the remake takes that soundtrack and man, let's just take all of the instruments and put a mute on them, play them at a moderate volume, combine it with the occasional bleep and bloop, and just kick Austin right in the butt. This soundtrack is not only varied as hell, but it's faithful to its source material while trying something entirely weird and different. I'm not really sure how that's possible, but new composer Ryo Nagamatsu did it. So thanks. I'd play some tracks at length for you, but I would definitely get arrested. Let's get away from the technical side of things for a bit. Link's Awakening is at its core a reimagining of a classic. It's not something that's attempted at an extreme rate, but it's something that is becoming more common. Resident Evil 2 is a recent remake that was a whole reimagining of what Resi 2 was. Link, on the other hand, is for the most part a one-to-one remake of the 1993 classic with a few quality of life enhancements. Well, with the exception of one new major feature added, the chamber dungeons. Apparently, Shigeru Miyamoto asked Zelda producer Eiji Aonuma to try a Mario Maker type of thing, and that's what we got here. They completely axed the camera shop from DX, which how dare you, and replaced it with Dompe's Shack, which yeah, of course, let's put Dompe in here. That's a cute character. Anyways, with him you can use dungeon slabs you pick up to create dungeons that you can share with friends. The creator mode is, unfortunately, kind of a waste. Every room you put together is prefabricated, meaning you basically just slap pieces together and hope it's challenging, which it isn't. Link's Awakening's already an extremely easy game, and all of the pieces you collect are just rooms you've already been in anyways. But let's say you spend a ton of time putting together a dungeon, you feel really good about it, and you want to share it with the world. Slap that biz onto an amiibo, put it in the mail to your friend, and hope it doesn't get damaged or lost, then you can play your level. Oh yeah. I know we got like this online thing we pay monthly for, but yeah, let's do this. There's something ironic about going outside to share your custom-made dungeon, but at least Link's Awakening's release gave us this bad boy, easily my favorite amiibo, until Terry Bogard comes out anyway.
But you know what? The chamber dungeon and frame rate are really my only complaints about this one. Well, besides the $60 price tag, which is maybe a bit much for what is essentially a rescan of an old game with a horrible waste of an additional mode, but I've seen worse. For newer players, Link's Awakening's only gonna run you about 10 or 12 hours of gameplay, while experienced people can take it in like half the time. Unfortunately, we've yet to see the 5-minute speed run, but we can dream. Oh,
I think the most impressive thing about this remake is seeing the entire package together. When you see the game in motion coupled with how it feels, it really tries to look like a kid's toy, but not in like a that's for kids type of manner, but a classic children's toy made in the 50s or 60s. If Super Mario Odyssey's Moon Collection is like a fidget spinner, the Link's Awakening is like playing with a yo-yo, and not even like a super dope yo-yo that lights up and breathes fire or something, but when your parents dug out of the closet. Yeah, that makes sense, right? If you nitpick the individual aspects of this remake, I'm sure you could rip it to shreds. But looking at it as an entire package, Link's Awakening is quite the fantastic addition to the Switch's library, as well as one of the best remakes I've seen. If this and Resident Evil 2 are the standard for different types of video game remakes and reimaginings in the future, I'm perfectly okay with it. But it's totally weird that the Game Boy game has better frame rate.
Special Patreon shout out to Alfredo Ariano, Chris Shelton, Christopher Olivia, Cliff Pro, Donald Dowdy, David Molnar, Eli Shane Staufenecker, Flaming Fighter, Irrational, Jay Roos, James Rory, Jeff Hichos, Jacoby Fitzpatrick, Josh Garbage Lord, Legendary, Nitron, Filomentus, Plasma Phoenix, Ronnie Vile, and Vlad Lust. Thank you very much for your generous support. I wish I was in Japan. I'll catch you guys next time.